Kia ora, Star Wars fans. Welcome to Middle-Aged Kiwi Man collecting Star Wars figures and my very first live stream, Legends of TVC. And I'm extremely honored today to join two absolute legends of TVC from banthaskull.com. I've got Chris and Bret, and I'll bring you guys on. Kia ora, Chris. Kia ora, Bret.
How's it going?
How's it going, guys?
It's going well.
All right.
Bret's going to sit silent, apparently.
Is this your first live stream, Bret?
This is my first live stream. I'm terrified. So if I just pass out in the middle of this, please excuse me.
That's awesome. We'll look after you or not. This is my first hosting. So, yep, likewise. And Chris, you're a veteran of these.
Yes, yeah. Done a handful of them, but now still get nervous, but not as bad as Bret. And Jason, I just have to say, just before, as we're starting, you can drop the accent. We know you're faking it, to get the ladies, you think you sound cool. That's okay. We're all friends here. You can drop it now.
What? I don't know what you guys are talking about. You guys are the ones with the accent.
I'm just excited because I'm thrilled to be on a live stream with someone that's I can't even say it. Statistically speaking, Jermaine Clement and Bret McKenzie. It's a tiny country. You have to be best friends, so you know them. And I'm very excited to actually be 1 degree of separation from those guys now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. And I'm looking forward to when Taika Waititi finally gets to do a Star Wars film, and I'm going to put my name down for it and just wander down the road. Hey, cuz, chuck me on. So we got a few people watching. I'm going to say hi in a second, but I did take the opportunity a couple weekends to go to do some intro videos to introduce you guys. So I'm going to start by introducing Bret. Bret, this is your intro video. Let's see if this works. Look at that. It's almost like a professional live stream.
I don't know what paparazzi you have connections with that was able to get that footage, but I'll find out.
You're very hard to stalk on social media. I'll give you that much. And,
it's in his name. It's in his name, Nomad. I mean, he's a wanderer. You can't pin him down.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't frequent the Bantha Skull website, that's a reference to your avatar, which is a Jawa. Someone who's slightly easier to stalk on social media. Why don't we roll out his video? I'm getting old. I don't have time for this. Make Luke Skywalker. Make the main characters.
Perfect.
It's footage of you from one of the many Q&As. So we'll just go and say hello to a couple of guys. Oh, awesome. There's some of our friends from your website here already. So we've got Red5, Kia ora, Chris. We've got Marek Steele. We got Treasures for Trigger. Phil, he's a Kiwi who lives in Japan and at one with the Force. Kia ora, guys. Welcome along. So, well, first things first, I'd like you guys to introduce yourselves, if that's okay. I mean, obviously, everybody here already knows you, but I think it's worth introducing who you are, where you're from, and what you guys do. So, would you like to go first, Chris?
Sure. I'm Chris Swansky, and I'm from Bantha right there on the screen, right there. You just put a .com on that. Get rid of that space and put a .com. And when our host actually isn't tanking, you can go to our website. Right now, we're experiencing some server errors. It seems like every 10 minutes, but when it's working, it's pretty nice.
It's an awesome website. And Bret?
Yeah, I'm on the same website. I was not savvy enough to get it into my little name tag there, so I don't know how I am in orientation to everybody else, but here, that's it right there for me. That's what I'm seeing. I'm originally from the New York area over in the States. Recently moved to the Phoenix, Arizona, which is where I've been for the last 3 years. And Chris and I have been at this Bantha Skull thing like on and off for, I don't know what now, about 15 years ish, something like
15
that.
years. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And the reason I wanted you guys to be first on my Legends of TVC live stream is because you guys are the legends, and your website is like breakfast reading for me. Unfortunately, I'm in the future, so by the time I'm having my breakfast and coffee and toast, there's already 4 to 6 hours of comments on there, and I'm always late. But honestly, it's the first website I go to. And in the morning, my wife is like stressing out about, we've just had an election in New Zealand. There's war in the Middle East, and she's telling me all these things that are happening, and I'm going, well, yeah, but this Obi-Wan Kenobi doesn't have the right hand, and this cape needs ironed. I'm worrying about the the really important things, and just like nodding along, pretending I know what's going on in the real world.
Well, you are our target demographic. I gotta say that.
Yeah. Nerds. Yeah, I love it, and so you guys have been documenting TVC since the get-go, and I think I know you went back and redid them all because your photographic standards and your review standards just going higher and higher. And I think I remember it was you, Bret, who did a photo shoot with the Chirrut Imwe figure, which really set the bar higher again. And you guys have just stayed at that bar and just kept on going. So yeah, you guys are legends of the TVC community.
I could actually kill Bret for that Chirrut photo gallery because it used to take me, 1 or 2 hours to do a photo gallery. Then once he set that new standard, it's like a day. It takes me like 2 days. He cranks them out. I can't do them as fast as he does. So I could kill him for that one.
I get hate mail for that, but it's actually 100% of my hate mail actually came from Chris.
Yeah. It's just as well you guys don't have an HR department, because they'd be just full-time resolving disputes between the two of you, right?
Yeah, and Bret is the HR department.
That's our next move. Yeah, we got to get someone in here because we got to resolve some of these issues. I don't know how much longer we can go on.
It was easier when Bret was in New York and we were like 3 hours apart because we could meet and thumb wrestle to hash things out. Now that it's remote, we really got to go to the next level.
Wrestling's just not the same over Teams. So how did banthaskull.com start? How did it all start for you guys?
Do you want to take it, Bret, or do you want me to?
I could kick it off a little. I think we met. I know I met Chris online at one of the other sites. We used to participate in the forums for a while. I think Chris's connection to online forums in the hobbies goes much further back than me. I kind of joined. It was Rebel Scum. I kind of joined in at some point, probably like right after Phantom Menace. And over the years, just kind of like gravitated towards certain people that kind of felt like we had common interests, joking around a lot online in the forums. And then at some point, we kind of decided, let's give this thing a go. And we decided to focus on the things that we were more interested in and kind of do our own thing. And about 15 years ago, Chris, who's the mastermind of all the behind the scenes, complicated, convoluted web stuff, he kind of launched our website, took a couple iterations, and we kind of went from there.
Do you remember when the exact event? Of course, this was you. Now, just so you know, Jason, Bret has no memory, so he probably doesn't remember this. But this was his story at one time. There was a thread on Rebel Scum. It was like, "What's the deal with something?" And I created a picture of Jerry Seinfeld, and I put, "What's the deal with airline food?" Like in response to that thread. And I think that was for Bret and me. That was the Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? Yep. I think it was that moment that did it. And then so what happened is we kind of had a decent sized clique there too. And one of the guys from our clique, he started just another forum. It was on one of those free forum sites. He started one of those, and it was right at the time when I'm like, I really wanted to start up a website for something. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it would be sports related or whatever. Just for professional reasons, I wanted to start up a website. And I said to him, I go, hey, if you basically all of our click moved to this free forum, so we wouldn't have had much of an audience. Oh, Tim's on. We wouldn't have had much of an audience. So I just said to him, hey, originally it was he and I like started up Bantha Skull. I said, if I'll start up an actual website as opposed to a forum. If you shut down the forum, we can bring everybody over. So basically to pulled a pretty high, a leverage maneuver there, like Microsoft. Let me get your users type of thing.
A takeover. Yeah, we better show Tim. Kia ora, Tim. And I know it's past midnight there in the UK, so thank you very much for tuning in. My buddy Phil over in Japan, kia ora. Merrick Steele, TVC Mackin. This is where the fun begins. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Yeah, and I think for me, like, I found your website when I started collecting again, and I stumbled across your website and started reading it. And I think the thing that really sticks out for me about banthaskull.com is, well, there's the quality. First off, you got to have the high quality stuff, but it's the humor and the positivity. And, that's what keeps bringing me back, is you go there in the comments and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people, that have been commenting for a while, make stupid jokes, take it crazy places, give each other a bit of friendly banter. It's just such a positive website. And the fact that you guys maintain that is awesome. Well, what makes it so positive and fun? And
I would say one thing is Bret and I think are both pretty silly people in general. When Bret was still in New York, when we get together for toy fairs and stuff like that, I think we'd laugh the entire time and just like laugh out everything the entire time. So I think it's kind of, it's one of those things where, make what you want and hopefully other people will enjoy it too. I think that's what it was, escapism, type of thing. Exactly what we were talking about in the beginning, where get away from the real world and escape a little bit. And just hopefully we cultivated that. I will say there's one thing balance with that that I think we have to be careful not to lose sight of, is we're very serious about the hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I don't, if you make it too jokey and, you lose the chance that, you run the risk that somebody's going to say, well, you're just joking about everything. You're not serious. But we're very serious about the hobby. But we like to make our, Family Guy references and Seinfeld references and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fine line. Like, we want to have a good time. We have to put in perspective, kind of like you started off. Like, there's other things going on in the world. This is an escape. We take the hobby very seriously, but I think it's clear, like, we do. We want to make everybody knows that this isn't the most important thing going on in the world, but it is an escape thing, and that's why we're there. We're there to just have fun and talk about the things that we enjoy and share the moment. And I think we're very careful to not cross those lines, and just keep it fun, keep it fresh, and discuss the things that are there at hand, and not try to bring too much of the real world into it, because that kind of puts a damper on things. But I think Chris and I have talked about it. We just enjoy the fact that over the years, the group of people that join us, that share their comments, they're the ones that actually kind of drive that. So we don't have folks that are trolling or that are making a lot of negative comments, like just for the sake of doing it. Like, I never understood people like that. Like, if you're not enjoying the moment, like, why are you even, tuning in? You can, find something else. But I don't think we have too much of that on our site. And I think that's just more of a shout out to the community that we have that we share here.
Yeah, you had this thigh swivel guy. That was awesome, John Moran. Just like every comment was just like, "You like thigh swivel," but he got his way in the end, didn't he? That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like people can join in and however they are. I don't think there's really too much of a mean-spiritedness going on in our community. Like, we can kind of laugh along and joke along, and we just kind of take things in stride. There's not a lot of that feeling of like we're attacking people or whatever. Like, if you don't like what people are saying, you can always ignore it, make your own comment somewhere else. There's no reason to kind of pile on. But yeah, I think that's kind of what makes it, I hope for everybody like a fun place to be.
Yeah, that comes up time and time again. And speaking of silly,
he's probably sharpening his knives right now. That would be my guess.
Yeah. And Chris says that's the joy of Bantha Skull. Absolutely. And one of the cool things about Bantha Skull is the famous Randy. I don't know if Randy's on here, but 5POA is not okay, Randy. I met him in real life a few years ago. So, and it was through, we knew each other through the Bantha Skull comments. And it was during that time of the terrible 3.75-inch Black Series Walmart exclusives. So we were getting nothing here. We were just getting the 5POA rubbish, and we weren't getting any of the Walmart exclusives. And I must have made a comment or two on one of your articles, and then Randy replied and said, I'm coming to New Zealand. Would you like me to bring some? And I was like, what? So him and his wife had flown out from Indianapolis. They were doing a tour of New Zealand, and one evening I was with my family, and I was telling my wife about it, and she's just like, "You're an idiot." I get that a lot. And then Randy messaged me, and we're at my in-laws' house, and I was like, "Oh, I've got to go and meet Randy." And she's like, "What?" I said, "I'm going into town. This is about 30 kilometers away. I'm gonna meet this guy Randy from Bantha Skull." And she's like, "You're going to meet who and what? Some person from the internet?" It just didn't feature in her mind. So we met up. It was really cool. He's a really cool guy. And then I felt bad because I was like, he'd bought all these figures, and I'm like, I'm going to show him around a bit. So we went for a little bit of a drive. We went up a hill and went to a lookout, and we went into town because I thought, and we had a great time. And I was coming home real late, and my wife was so mad, and she just didn't believe that I was going to meet some guy who had bought action figures from America. It just didn't compute in her brain. And to me, it was the most normal thing in the world, but it was awesome. So it was really cool to meet Randy in person.
Randy's a great guy, and I've actually never met him in person. He was in when I was still living in Massachusetts. He came to Boston, and I just couldn't at the time, life reasons, couldn't hook it up to meet him. So it's something he ribbs me about. He's met you. He's met you in New Zealand, but he's never met me. Even though he was right in my town, basically.
Yeah, open invitation. Anyone on Bantha Skull, you come into New Zealand, we'll hook you up.
It was funny when you were telling us. Yeah. Well, he won't get in. He won't get in. What with the knives and all,
Is he a real person?
Yes, he's definitely
Nobody
not
knows.
Bret's sock account.
Larry's here. Kia ora, Larry. No, actually, Randy also sent me what I call the Randy's box of awesomeness. He packaged up a whole bunch of stuff and sent it over. And as part of that, CJ sold me a B2 EMO droid, which obviously you can't get here, and that went into the package as well. So yeah,
Awesome.
Thank you, CJ. Here we go. The man, the myth, the legend. Tim says Chris's display gets better every live stream. Yeah, he upgraded it specifically for my live stream. Tim, I just want to let you know that
this is true, Tim. I got the LED lights just for tonight. I'm taking them out. Next live stream, back in the dark.
Red 5 staying at my house. You're more than welcome, mate. We've got a spare room, but there's also a couch in the garage if you want it. It's probably cold out here, though. So, what have you guys got recently that's new, or what are you excited about? What's come out recently that's excited you?
I don't know if this will. How do we do this?
Oh wow! Okay, Grand Inquisitor.
Just got that from Entertainment Earth, and it's funny, and I'm kind of, if I do get, Bret, did you get it yet?
No, not yet. It's on the way. Processing. It's processing. Sorry.
Okay, so I'll try to photograph this tomorrow. I wish Bret had it so I didn't have to, but so I'm gonna kind of spoil my review a little bit of that. But to me, this is kind of like a microcosm of where the line is now. You know, if this came out, if the Grand Inquisitor came out, you know, when the show was airing, I'd be thrilled to have it. But this kind of showed up, and I'm like, I really don't care about this figure now. It's in the past. But I have to say, it is a pretty awesome figure, and there's aspects of it that to me bode very well for Count Dooku when he comes out.
I think that's the thing with TVC figures this year. So last year there was a clear figure of the year. That was the Darth Vader Dark Times. The year before there was a clear winner of figure of the year. It was the VC 186 Boba Fett. This year, to me, there's so many. You know, when they do all new tooling, every single one. Like I think about the Paz Vizsla, the Vulcan Taziri, and some of the newer characters, even the Sabine Wren, apart from the helmet, like those are just absolutely phenomenal figures.
Yeah,
and there's more I could think of, but do you know what I mean? This year, to me, there's no clear winner of figure of the year. It's just been that good.
Because we're getting to that time of year, I've been thinking about it, and I mean, I'm probably gonna, even though the color isn't right, I'm probably gonna go with Tessic myself for figure of the year this year, just because I have a major OT bias. So definitely gonna go that way. Brett's probably going to go with Paz because he said that in his review. You're stuck, Brett. You can't change your vote. You put that in your review.
I just like, yeah, I still can't get over the Vulcan Tazari, like this, the fact that exists, and it's just awesome.
But this is another thing with like the TVC community, and I know you guys have been talking about Vulcan Tazari for years, and you've had your, you know, the Seen It featurette, which is fantastic, by the way, and then John Miko did the Vote for Vulcan campaign, and then, you know, the community all kind of got on board, and the SWTVC guys, you see them again and again in that top 64, and so it's kind of like that groundswell of campaigning that means that figure exists. They actually heard us, which is outstanding.
It's still pinch me. There's since TVC has come back, there's been so many moments where it feels like the barge behind Brett was one of them, where I'm like, Brett and I were, that was at Toy Fair 18, Brett, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And I just remember they put up the sizzle reel, the introduction for the barge, and I like, is this real? I was expecting, the rug to get pulled out like it was a joke, it was a prank the entire time. Like I was expecting them to zoom out and it would be like a little die-cast toy or something, and they'd have like a figure next to it. I gotcha. We're gonna really, we're bringing back, the small die-cast vehicles again or something like that. I couldn't believe that it was real. And this Velkin and Tame Dringaren, I just can't believe those are 40 years in the making. We finally have them. We finally have the guy that shot Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, such a special set. Well, that's an empty box of it, but I ended up getting 2 of them from Hasbro Pulse, and then it cost me another, I think it was $80 US to send them here. So ended up pretty expensive, but totally worth it. Totally worth it to get those figures. But my barge is like that big. I wasn't able to get a barge.
Oh, you weren't?
No.
Oh, well, next time Randy comes out, I'll have to bring you one.
It's funny. I got a friend who bought a barge. He's in New Zealand. He's in Wellington as well. He bought a barge through Hasbro Pulse, but got it sent to a friend's house in America. And he's only just gone to visit him to pick him up, like in the last month. So that's be 4 years. Yeah, easy. So can't wait to go around and see it, because I've never seen one in person before. I know there are a handful in New Zealand, but not many.
And then you're going to want one. You're going to have one after that.
Yeah. There is one for sale in New Zealand, but the guy's asking like $5,000 for it.
Wow.
Maybe past now.
Wow.
But then I overcompensated with the Razor Crest and bought 2. And one of them's still in the shipper. It hasn't been opened. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it.
Well, I'm guilty of that too. I have 2 Razor Crests. And one of them's in a closet over there.
How many ghosts are you getting? 2.
I live in perpetual fear of breakage. Like I need that spare just in case something or lose something. You know, I'll still have the extra one somewhere. It allows me to sleep at night for my collection's sake.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with my Razor Crest, my second Razor Crest. It's the just in case. But if the garage burns down, they're both in the garage, so that's not very smart.
Yeah, you have to have them geographically diverse. I recommend putting one of your Razor Crests on the other side of New Zealand in a storage facility. That way, if there's any natural disaster, it's safe.
Nico has 37 Razor Crests.
He sleeps on them. He sleeps on a bed of Razor Crests. It's not comfortable, but it's really cool.
I want to know how many Vulcan Tzeris he got. Rumslig is
Hey,
here.
there he is.
Kia ora, Rumslig.
More Bantha Skull regulars.
Yeah, awesome. What about you, Brett? You've obviously got the barge. What about the? What did you do with the Razor Crest and the Ghost?
I had 2. Actually, we had 3, but we ended up one of them was a Bantha Skull giveaway. So I still have 2. The second one is still in the box. I was kind of feeling at the time when we bought them that you would have all these display possibilities, and then like 5 minutes later it blew up. So kind of like one was probably enough. But I did get 2 ghosts. The last one was kind of an impulse. It was like towards the very end. I think like on the last day, I got the second one.
Wow.
No idea.
I wonder how many multiples of the Ghost have been driven by people wanting to have the figures both open and carded.
Well, it's definitely a factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Can be an
Or as
expensive
Ted would say,
addiction.
it's a factor.
It's a factor. So, Brett, do you collect carded as well, Brett, or are you an opener?
I don't collect carded, although I have an absurd amount of them just because I haven't opened them yet. I moved into this new house and I even still haven't finished setting everything up. So when a new figure comes out, I live in fear of not having enough to populate the displays that I set up. So I kind of tend to overdo it. So I have some absurd amount of actual like cases of figures. And yeah, I don't know if I'm sure I don't really need even a small percentage of them. So, but that's why, like, I'm not actually collecting them for the sake of having them on a card. That's not my thing.
Just gonna say another quick hello. We've got Pat the Shark is here from Australia. Kia ora, Pat.
Yep, the sun will never set on this live stream.
Yeah, it's awesome, eh? We've got people from the UK, the States, Australia, New Zealand. It's great. And actually, I'm glad we didn't have this last week. As I said to you, Chris, there was a very important rugby game on last Sunday. It was New Zealand Ireland, and it was nail biting, but New Zealand managed to get through. So,
oh no.
Yeah. So
I would have rooted for Ireland.
What?
I'm Irish.
How dare you? Oh right, yeah, of course. And then we beat Argentina yesterday, so it's a New Zealand South Africa final next weekend. So,
oh wow,
yeah, it's a big deal for you guys outside of America that all play the same sports.
At least you're not talking about soccer.
Yeah. And then there's the Cricket World Cup is on at the moment too, and those are shorter format, but the games are still 8 hours long. So, been some late nights.
I've never understood cricket for 1 second. It's so foreign to baseball.
And you, Chris, you're obviously a carded collector as well, but you made mention, I think, was it on Victoria's live stream or on Victoria's Cantina recently that you're almost done.
Yeah, it's actually the Ghost that's gonna break me of that. Because I'm not gonna open my second Ghost just to get a set of card figures. And I want those open because I like the season, 3-4 appearances of them. So I want those ones open. So I've decided that's it. I'm not going to be a carded completist. And to be honest, I wasn't ever really a carded completist. It was more for the sake of the site. We went back and redid, as you mentioned, not only did we go back and redo TVC, we've actually went back and did all of Legacy Collection. Bret was very happy to do Saga Collection. He thought that was such a great group of figures. There, we did the 30th anniversaries. So we've gone back and done the other ones, and when our combined time becomes more available, I actually have the entire huge run of cards for Revenge of the Sith. So we can do those at some point. But
wow.
I don't have them open. That's why Bret's currently passing out. I don't have most of those figures open anymore because I've purged my collection at various times. So he has to photograph them. I have to photograph the cards, which is damn near impossible because it's got that AMC Pacer bubble on it, and there's no way to hide the lighting source on it. I've spent hours doing it. I can't figure out how to do it, and we had some suggestions for some professional photographers. Matt Cohen, told me what to do, and I still didn't work. So, Shooting the Galaxy, Matt Cohen, which was, by the way, really cool to see him on the Hasbro live stream.
Oh, wow.
He was on it. So Bret actually contacted him on Instagram before he was a Hasbro photographer and featured him on Bantha Skull. So he's been in the, comments ever since. So it was just almost bizarre seeing this thing come full circle. Now he was at Hasbro and on the live stream. Yeah.
How cool is that? And that's a great example of the rise of toy photography. And he was a fan, and now he's getting to shoot these figures before they come out, which is pretty amazing. And because I always have to find the New Zealand connection, there's a friend of mine, Perry, and he goes by the Instagram of That Kiwi Bookshelf Guy. And same thing for him. He got into figure photography, and he's also been able to shoot some stuff for like official Star Wars things, which is pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
It's cool that they use the community like that.
Yeah.
Just quickly, Tim reckons case of season 2 Grief Kargas.
Oh, you're on a gold mine, Tim.
Miko beat Amy. I'm really disappointed that Miko didn't share pictures of him in his Ayla Secura cosplay.
Nobody showed up as Commander Bly. That was a missed opportunity.
Oh,
somebody should have showed up as cosplaying as. There were people there cosplaying.
I just have to highlight that one because, yes, Black Caps, that's the New Zealand team. They caned England to kick off. They sure did. But Larry says no American understands cricket. What
that previous one, that was all gibberish. I don't understand anything that was said in that previous comment.
So New Zealand has this thing, right? So our national teams, instead of being called New Zealand, whatever it is, because the All Blacks are called the All Blacks, so all the other representative teams have to come up with a name. So the cricket team is called the Black Caps because they wear black caps. There's the netball team is Silver Ferns. There's White Ferns. There's Black Ferns. But it really got to ludicrous levels. And I kid you not, at one stage, both the men's and women's badminton teams were called the Black. Second part of the word shuttle.
Shuttle, yeah, got it.
So how they ever thought that was a good idea? Obviously, that didn't last long. Once it kind of hit the media, it's like, yeah. So that's when you know you've overdone it. Every other team just names themselves after the country they're representing. Although, actually, the Australians do a bit of that weird stuff as well. So what's next for Vintage Collection? Where do you think it's headed? Well, where do you think it's headed? What do you think's going well about it? Where does it need to improve? You did a pretty good article the other day about vehicles.
Yeah, that's where I think it's going. I think we're going to see more of the kind of the bigger pieces, especially because, just looking at it, how they generate interest in their orbit. Look how much activity the barge did for skiff guards, and we have the I know it's Book of Boba Fett, but we got the throne room, which 99.9% of collectors are using as the Jabba's throne room before we even get that conversion kit. So we got that. We got the trophy wall, which is behind the Rancor over there. You can't see it. We got the original Skiff 3-pack. So I just think that the kind of that idea, and from what I understand, and this isn't like an insider thing, just general from observation and hearing things. It seems like retailers do like themes too. Like maybe not expressed over a long period of time, but for a short period of time, there's it's good to have a theme of the product too, especially something as diverse as Star Wars. So I just think I think we're going to see a little bit of a small shift, maybe to bigger things, bigger items for TVC, but that's just speculation on my part.
Yeah, I think if we were to go back and look at some of the things we were writing about when we thought TVC was going away, about 3-4 years ago, based on the volume of product coming out, and that's when the community kind of banded together and did that whole sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? The thing you signed, the petition. Oh my God, yes, petition is a complicated word. Sorry, I'm distracted because I'm having a food delivery at the moment. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So we, if we were to go back and look and say, what would we think would mean that TVC is healthy again? We have like so many individual single figures coming out in a year, supplemented with some vehicles and play sets and whatever. I think if you look at where it is today, it's probably along those lines, something very close to it. I would say that the only thing, besides more, like we're always wanting more, although in the economy, it's a little bit of a struggle to keep up with it sometimes, especially with the big ticket items. But we're always looking for more. And I think one of the things we're missing is like other than the speeder bikes that we just got, we're missing like a small vehicle or a small beast type line, which was very popular for a long time, and it's one of those things that's in the blood of 3.75. And I do feel though that it, like Chris said, like it's the bigger ticket items that create more interest, more demand. So we see like things where people compare, and this is all good stuff. Like we have a lot of friends out there who do these comparisons between like the Black Series and TVC and say, Black Series has so many figures out and TVC has this many, and they're not lined up. We're not balancing the scales, for a particular new media. Black Series has 12 figures and TVC only got 5. But all this other stuff that you see like on Chris's shelf and the barge over my shoulder, like none of this stuff is anywhere close to happening. So yeah, maybe we trade a couple figures, but we get all this other stuff that helps build out the world. Would I want to see the same figures that come out in Black Series? Yeah, like most of them for sure. But I would rather see a lot of this other stuff come out as well that helps build out the display, and it's what makes the collecting, for me anyway, makes it really enjoyable. So I'm really happy with how far TVC has come over the past couple of years, and I would like to think that the community as a whole helped make that happen by pushing. And I think we've been, for the most part, backing up all that talk with buying, with purchasing, with collecting, and I think it's been working out pretty well. And I see more coming on the future. I don't see it really slowing down, kind of like I did a couple of years ago.
Absolutely. And that's something you hear time and time again from 3.75 collectors. It's about the world building. It's about the vehicles. It's about the play sets. And it's a very good point you make, Brett, that we may not have all the same figures, but they're not getting Black Series is not getting a Mandalorian N1 Starfighter or a Jabba's Palace or Vulcan Tazeri.
Right.
One thing that I'm very happy about is just the support the community gives to the vehicles and things like that. Now, I mean, I think we can all remember not too long ago, this was actually showing up at Five Below for $10 in the United States at one point. You know, it's like not too long ago we were rejecting these. When it was about that tank, I think when the shift started to happen, we moved away from toys to a little bit more pushing towards the replica side on the quality of the vehicles. And I think the community rejected it at first because of the price point, but I'm thrilled now that it seems we're jumping in. I mean, even following that up, the skiff. I mean, I bought 3 skiffs from Target, I think, for $15 at one point when they had them on clearance. The skiff wasn't supported very well, but now I'm thrilled the community is buying into this stuff because it is what sets just to say it for a third time, it is what sets TVC apart, the 3 3/4 inch scale apart, is being able to get these pieces.
Absolutely. So there's a few things in the comments about some sets they'd like to see. Larry, an Ultimate Mos Eisley Canteen. I'd love to have that in the same sort of way we've just had that Jabba's Palace set. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Leo says more Rebel and Pilot 4-packs. Sorry, Brett.
No, I was going to say, I think that is, to me, we've talked about, Chris has written about it a lot. We've all talked about it. Like, to me, the best part about these large pieces is when they're able to provide a proper backdrop for a large number of figures. I love the Razor Crest, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that's one of the drawbacks of it, is that it's this huge piece, but there's not really a ton that goes with it, at least not that we've been building over time. But like the barge, boom, instant display for 30, 35 figures, right? And as a backdrop for your skiffs. The Ghost may or may not, well, it depends on what products they come out with. It does have a lot of interior space, which I think was one thing that was lacking with the Razor Crest. But the Cantina, to me, would be the next logical thing. We've done so much with Jabba's Palace, like Chris mentioned earlier. It's just automatically provides you with that display that you need for all the figures that we've been collecting for so long, as well as a few new ones. I think a Cantina would do that same thing. I think a Death Star would do that same thing. These are not cheap options, and maybe they're not for everybody, and they take up a lot of space. But if they're done right, they don't really take up much more space, because if you already have all these figures that are standing on a shelf, maybe with a blank background, and these would just kind of substitute and give it a little bit more of a fun display area.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so we had the barge was the first HasLab that what Brett's saying, like, it elevated your existing collection. Then the Razor Crest kind of pushed your collection in a new direction. The Ghost, which as you can see is going to go here eventually, pushes your collection in a new direction. So we had 2 that kind of expand. I really hope we get back to one that elevates what we already have. So we in the spirit of the barge. And as I've written about, it's a double-edged sword, because that can be a struggle for newer collectors because they don't have the existing figures, and some of them are very expensive. If Hasbro does do that, the onus is on them to get a chunk of those available to the community again. Because if the barge made one mistake, it was that not immediately having those legacy collection figures on tap. As soon as it backed, announced here's a wave of these figures. Don't go out and pay $50 on eBay. One of our revenue streams on Bantha Skull is eBay sales. It helps pay for the hosting and things like that. We get a little commission for that. And so we could see when the barge, a lot of money was being spent on Jabba's Palace figures, a lot of money, and Hasbro wasn't getting a dime of it. So there is incentive for them to do that as well.
Yeah, the prices of some of those ones went up massively, didn't they?
Yeah.
Quickly say hi to Rolando. Rolando joins every single live stream on YouTube. He never sleeps, so welcome. I agree. And if they do a Cantina, like some of those figures haven't been done in a long time. We obviously need a new Hammerhead. He's one of the finish the 96 kind of characters. We've got a wonderful Dr. Evazan, if you can get him. Ponda Barber's not too bad. We need the new Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then some of those deep cut characters, I think they'd really struggle to get out, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but her Czech Kalfas, the Sorin that from Legacy Collection, Lee Subsurland. Those ones are easily $50 a piece. So if they still have the tooling for those are ones that they would need to rehydrate for the for any potential cantina.
I wish Rick Calfas was only $50. I did a video of my top 3 most expensive loose figures, and they were what I call Bubo Frog Dog from the Jabba's Palace, Duran, and Rick Calfas, and I think it was some ridiculous amount, but it was the last cantina patron that I needed. So,
what'd you pay?
Do what you do. You're a massive nerd with an addiction.
So what was it? Don't keep us in suspense. What did you pay for it?
I think it was over 150 New Zealand dollars, so easily over 100 US. Wow. Just for a loose. I think he was even missing his accessories.
I'm laughing because Bret lost his blaster for over a year, and it's my favorite thing to jab him with. Of course, whenever I do, if I push it too far, he reminds me of David Tyree's helmet catch. So I can't push that too much, but it's my favorite thing to
he might bring up the Royal Starship incident.
Oh God!
Too soon.
I can't. Right there.
And that is one of my favorite stories.
Do you want me to retell it for this audience, or?
Oh yes, please. Just quickly though.
You should.
Yeah, go.
So, when I moved into my first house, this would have been or 2005 when I moved into my first house. I decided that I was going to sell off my entire collection. I did for way too little. I sold off my entire collection. But when people say they sell off their entire collections, everybody keeps their few favorites. So I kept my few favorite Luke figures and things like that. And one of my favorite things was the Queen's Royal Starship, just because I've always been a fan of the big expensive vehicles, because it just brings me back to my childhood. Millennium Falcon was the big ticket item. That's the one you got for Christmas. You had to wait for Christmas for that one. So I've always been a fan of the big ticket items. And I had 2 Queen's Royal Starships, one I opened and one sealed. So when I sold my collection, I was intending to keep the sealed one in my collection, which to the best of my knowledge, I did. And then it came time to move, and I had the sealed one in the attic of this little townhouse we were renting at the time. And we're moving, and I'm packing up to move, and I'm grabbing the box, thinking it's got the full Queen's Royal Starship in it. And I pick it up, and there's no weight to it, and I bash myself in the face with the box as I pick it up. And I gave the guy my loose Queen's Royal Starship and my sealed Queen's Royal Starship, and all I had was the box.
No.
Yep. And then I had to go buy another one on eBay. That one right there.
I've always wondered if that guy follows Bantha Skull and he's read about this over and over again.
I know he was buying my collection to part it out and sell it, and he probably doesn't. I probably sold it for less than a third of what I should have. But it was one of those things, when you're moving and you don't feel like moving something, I just put it out for a price that I knew would sell quickly.
He's probably not losing any sleep over it.
No,
but what do you need 2 anyway? Hang on, there's a question for you, Chris. I know this is one of your probably least favorite questions. Sorry. Did you know that's not a Bantha Skull? Yes, he knows.
Yes. Yeah, so it was, I'm pretty sure it was Bantha Tracks, the old fan club newsletter that first identified that emblem as a Bantha Skull. I know there's a degree of concurrency of when Mythosaur Skull and Bantha Skull came out, but for me, it was reading it as a kid in Bantha Tracks that it was the Bantha Skull. And, Bret and I being, older guys, older collectors, it felt like it was a good wink and a nod to the original, vintage Kenner era to call it Bantha Skull. And plus, it rolls off the tongue better than Mythosaur Skull.
It does. And it's way cooler than wheat symbol. Let's see, we got another one in here. Ben says, wonder if Hasbro would consider small world building packs with moisture evaporators, cargo crates. That would be awesome. There are a few people doing that. Hole in the ground productions and other people around the place that do like printing and stuff like that. I don't know. What do you reckon about those kinds of packs? Sorry, Brett.
No, so that's my favorite kind of stuff, is like the little pieces and doodads, if you will, that come in with the other sets. I know that we don't have packs or sets that are focused on that, but whenever something comes out that includes, things, as people joke when we do the photography, there's a few old standbys that I throw in a lot of the photography. There's like nice background pieces, environmental pieces that just show up all over the place. I love that stuff. The little crates, little boxes. I use the moisture evaporators a lot. I use those orange crates that come with the Rogue One hover tank. I use those a lot. So I would love it. I think that's, it's typically not a focus. I think they used to do accessory packs. A few of them came out back in the day. They're a little kid friendly. They usually have like some weird feature like a wind up thing or something. But I would love that. I think that would be a great thing. But it's a tough sell because even though most of us like think of ourselves as older collectors and we're not into the play features, it's a tough sell to just have a box with a bunch of other crates or boxes and things in it. So you have to figure out some way to tie it in, either include them in something else, or there'd have to be some figure with it. And we probably all roll our eyes because it would come with some figure that we've seen 15 times already. But yeah, I would, if Hasbro could figure out some way to do that, I'd love it.
Yeah, and of those deluxe sets, the one that came with the Stormtrooper and the E-Web cannon was probably the closest to that, right? Where it had some kind of world building element in it. Sorry, Chris, you were going to say something.
Brett just wrote our April Fool's article for me right now. The TVC box of boxes. That's going to be the nice. You know what? And I'm not joking. What I'd kill for is more chairs. We've got the throne. We need more chairs, just in general.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if you can see Torrent Far over there. I got the hole in the ground tactical chair just for her to sit in. She's
yes.
Over there on the tactical screen right over here. I don't know if it's showing up. In fact, Brett, I got one for you. I have some stuff I have to ship you. I got one for you too, so you can have your figure sitting down for your photo shoots.
I've got that same chair from Hole in the Ground Productions, and I bought the Emperor's Throne as well before that latest set came out. It was great stuff. And also, I think like in your photography for your figures, you guys make really good use of some of the existing stuff as well. And I think you've used like space walls as stairs and all kinds of creative things and sometimes you look at a scene and you go, wow, that's a great recreation of that, and you're looking in the background going, oh yeah, that's from that set and that's from that set. So it's very well done.
Thank you.
I think I try to do that. I try to make most of the stuff that I use as a background stuff that most of us would have like in our collections already, even if it's not the real item, like it's something that kind of substitutes or is a close approximation of it. There's some incredible, like real, like, you see it on Instagram, like we talked earlier about the rise of action figure photography. Like there's people that have these incredible setups. They build their own sets. They do pyrotechnics. They do all this stuff with Photoshop. It's tremendous stuff. I say purposely, like I don't have that talent, so I can't do that. That's straight up. But I kind of purposely go the simple route, just to kind of be like, anybody can do this. Like if I take a picture or a couple pictures of some of the new figures, and I have backgrounds that are easily accessible to somebody, like maybe it's like an idea or some kind of inspiration for someone, they can set up their shelf just like that, assuming they can get those pieces together or something similar. But yeah, the photography that I've seen online is tremendous. I could never do that. So this is, to me, is like kind of like the next best thing.
One thing that's been great is the rescue set, the cardboard backdrops to the rescue set. I don't know if you got that in New Zealand, but it gives you like, when you photograph it, you get that depth of a hallway with it. And I saw Bret use it for one of his. I'm like, wow, that looks so real. So I've used it like 2 or 3 times. So if Bret comes up with an idea, I'll beat it to death. So I'm going to use the rescue set as a background. I've been copying that.
I've been tempted to try and get the rescue set just for the Beskar spear. Damn it!
Oh,
yeah. Oh, for sure. I was going to say, I'm starting to get into, not like trying to make like a plug or anything, but probably a bunch of you out there have heard of Cardboard Galaxy. Is one of the eBay. He's on Instagram and he shows us stuff, but he's on eBay and he makes these very, I was going to say simple, but I don't mean to not do justice or the work that goes into it. Because they do, sometimes they do require a little work to like fold them and put them in place. But he sells these things on eBay where they're just these fantastic, very simple backgrounds that you could use. He's got tons of them from across the saga, and they look really nice, especially like in photography. Like they do, he does like a great job with it. And Hasbro should take note. Not trying to put this guy out of business, but they should take note that I'm not asking for cardboard sets from Hasbro, but sometimes like there could be cardboard elements added into some of their plastic sets that are lacking to help finish it off. And I think that's what this guy Cardboard Galaxy does. I think that's his slogan. It's like been finishing Hasbro sets for 10 years or something like that. And they're just like the little pieces that go to help finish some of the sets. Like he does this great one for the carbon chamber set that Hasbro put out, which a lot of people complain just seems like a little bit skeletal in its design. But he has these nice little inserts that go with it and help complete it. So whenever I can, I pick one up to try to, and I think it does a great job, especially for photography.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. But be careful what you wish for, Bret. Last time Hasbro decided to include a cardboard background was for the 6-inch Rancor. And yeah, it didn't go down so well, did it? Apparently 6-inch collectors don't like cardboard and rocks. Or was it bones? Maybe it was bones. There's a few questions in there. Rumsleague wants to see your comics, Chris.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, I know that light up there. So it's 142, Heir to the Empire. So Grand Admiral Thrawn's first appearance, and then Droids #1.
Very nice. I blame you and Action Figure Grader and Tim from Boss Bounty. I've started going to the comic store and buying the odd comic as well. But I'm not getting them graded because I don't think I could get anything graded here because it costs like $1 million to send it there and back to get graded. Hey, there's Keep On Collecting. Kia ora. This guy keeps commenting, so I'm just going to give him a comment anyway. Do you worry your toy collection may come to life? Yeah, just like Toy Story. Exactly. I worry about that all the time.
I worry about the opposite. I'm afraid they're not going to come to life. I've been praying one day that they will, because I want to know what Boba Fett's like in real life. I think he's nice.
Of course,
well, this is one of the advantages of having 375. Like they're really small, like 6-inch. Maybe they could fight, but I feel like I could take the 3.75, no problem.
Nice. And Paul's Collectibles is here. So Paul has a YouTube channel as well, and he's got an amazing collection of the helmets, and he also collects vintage collection as well. The Kia ora, Paul. I think I'm miles behind in the comments. Sorry, guys. Here we go. July through Nov. Yes. Yes. Yeah. What about next HasLab? What would you like to see for next HasLab? I think you've talked about this on other ones.
Well, I'm just reiterate what I said earlier. It's something that I think come back around to something for existing collections, just something to elevate our existing figures. So Death Star, Cantina are the two that spring to mind for that.
Yeah. And do you think the success of the Boba Fett's palace throne room, has shown that they don't need to be a HasLab? Like the cantina doesn't need to be a HasLab, right? It could be done the same way as the throne room set.
I don't think, just because of the size of it. We didn't really get we didn't really get the throne room. We got the stage and the dais. That's really all we got. We didn't even get the full throne room. For a cantina, I think there's so many parts that you need to have for it to qualify. You need the bar, you need alcoves, you need the entranceway. There's so much to it. I can't see that being doable as something smaller. I know a lot of people always say, well, do it as small sets that all connect. The problem with that is that people drop off when I have spoken at like Toy Fair and things to Hasbro. People drop off. So X number of people get the bar. Okay, so now we got to make X number of all these pieces, but then you lose people, and it's not a good model for them to do it that way, because not everybody's going to buy every piece all the way through. And who knows if retailers are going to want to, you still have to sell through retailers. Typically, who knows if retailers are going to want to stick with it for that long. So that model really doesn't, I know we'd all like that, but that model doesn't work. I think we all like it from remembering collecting Constructicons that way. We were kids getting the one piece and eventually getting the Devastator. But I think it has to come out somewhat comprehensively all at once.
Yeah. Well, I think that model you just described reminds me of those magazines. The first magazine's like $5, and it's like build an X-Wing, but you have to buy 200 magazines, and then the X-Wing ends up costing you $2,000, and probably nobody ever finishes it.
Brett, you got to give your picks. I had to give mine.
Yeah.
No, I mean, same ones. Those are the two I've been dying for, and it's mostly, like I said earlier, it's mostly for the ability to just put the finishing touches on all these related figures that we've been collecting for the last 20 years ish. So that would finish it off. Like having some, like, again, I think the products, I think I'm excited about the Ghost. I think it's going to look great, but there's definitely something for me, and I think for the older collectors that something that is a product that just came out or it was just debuted on screen in the past couple of years doesn't have the same excitement as something that is a missing crown jewel of our collection for so many years. So it is probably overall good for the health that we're bouncing around. We do something OT, we do something more new. But a lot of people, we've talked about, if you're not in the collecting business for a long time, you might be missing some of these figures that are expensive, but many of us have the whole entourage for the cantina waiting for an actual cantina. So I would love to add that. And the same thing with a Death Star. Those are the things that I'd be looking for.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Just going to say a quick hello to Darth Wizzy Wizard. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I'm just going to play this again, Brett, and then I'm going to ask you a quick question. So the question is, Brett, why do you hate the Disney Park Sandcrawler?
My collecting habits are very specific. I have no interest in anything other than Hasbro's 3.75-inch Star Wars stuff. I have no interest or knowledge in G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, anything. Like people could start going off on tangents and talk about a whole bunch of other toy lines. I have no connection to any of it whatsoever. And then not different scales, not different companies. I don't know. There's something about the Disney stuff that just rubs me the wrong way, because I feel it's like I've always believed, and I don't really know if this is just urban legend or really what the thing is, but that Hasbro, Kenner before it, had the the exclusive rights to action figures at that scale. And there's something a little weird about the fact that Disney, who has this relationship, they own Star Wars and they obviously have a relationship with Hasbro, that they are concurrently putting out stuff in this scale. I don't understand it. I don't know why it's a thing. It annoys me. I hate it. I want it to go away. So, and besides the fact that I've seen, because I don't have it, of course, I've seen pictures of that Sandcrawler, and it looks nothing like my home, the Sandcrawler, as a Jawa. No, it's just the coloring, weird quilt patch-like coloring of it. Like it's almost a clown show. Like it's a disgrace to it. Like I don't know which is worse, the fact that Hasbro doesn't have a Sandcrawler, or the fact that Disney did this nonsense version of one, and that's what people are claiming is the definitive version. It's all terrible. It all needs to stop immediately.
It was worth asking you that question. We did a family trip to Disneyland in 2019 before the world went with COVID. And first thing I did was go into the Disney store and buy that Sandcrawler. And then I took it back to the hotel, and I had a suitcase, an extra suitcase that I brought along for stuff from the parks. It didn't fit. So then I kicked all the kids' stuff out of their suitcase, put it in theirs. It still didn't fit. And then so eventually I had to commandeer my wife and I's suitcase and move everything around to make it fit, and managed to stuff extra things inside the box. So I have one unapologetically, and I love it.
Oh, I need to. How do
I hope we can still be friends.
I'm trying to figure out how to.
Yeah.
Bootleg.
It's another
Bootleg
thing that comes up. Bootleg, exactly. It's another thing that comes up often for HasLab, is people say a Sandcrawler, but I think it would be a waste of a slot, just because, like you guys saying about how many you can still do the droid sale display, but you can't really put anything in it.
If you, it's interesting, that clip that you have there. I realize not everything is to scale. People want things larger and to scale. Look at the size of the Sandcrawler as compared. The Razor Crest looks like a little micro machine compared to it. So you'll never be able to do it the true justice. But even in a home-friendly, shelf-sized scale, I think it would be nice. But yeah, I don't know how that becomes a HasLab. Like that's just not. And then for display, like it's a very specific thing. Like you're generally just going to have a bunch of Jawas standing around it. Like I don't, other than that iconic droid cell, which you almost kind of just need the tire, like the tracks, like as like a mini backdrop.
Which is funny. That's all that was there. That was all that was there.
Yeah.
They only had the treads.
Yep. So I don't know. It's not the most thrilling thing for me, and I, obviously I like Jawas for whatever weird reason, but a Sandcrawler just seems like an odd thing for people to want. I've got the original Hasbro one, the little mini one that's like a Matchbox car compared to what it should be, but I hate to say it, but I'm okay with that, and would rather like a bunch of other things instead.
I have that one as well, and I just bought it, as a matter of fact, last year. The Disney Parks one actually worked out well for me because the value came down on it in the secondary market, and I finally have it. It's actually, the Sandcrawler is one of the vehicles that eluded me my entire life. I never got one. I didn't get the radio controlled one as a kid. It was one of the ones that was too expensive. My parents said it was too expensive, so I didn't get it as a kid. And then when the 2004 one came out, it was that previews exclusive back before buying on, online was the norm, and they didn't have these shipping deals worked out. If I remember correctly, the shipping on it was like 30% of the cost of the item on top. It was something ridiculous. I just refused to pay it. And then it ended up going to Hot Topics, which is a store here, in a mall store here in the United States. And it was just too intimidating of a store for me to go into. So even though it was probably sitting right in my Hot Topics and at the mall, I couldn't bring myself to go in there. So it eluded me until just this past year.
Wow. People are saying
it's definitely small. There's no doubt it's small, right? But and the bootleg one is probably more closer to the size that would make people happy, or maybe it should be a little bigger. But I don't know. I get like no thrill or excitement of the thought of a 2023, 2024 version in TVC. It doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah. I mean, the detail would be amazing, but like you say, it would just be a giant brown box that you'd have to find.
Yeah,
they could do cool things with it.
Yeah.
If they made it like a vehicle garage and like a droid, you'd have to turn it into a playset, one of those vehicle play sets to make it work. As a HasLab.
Something along the lines of what's that clone ship or the Republic thing that turns into a base?
Oh, the attack shuttle, the Republic attack shuttle.
The attack shuttle, yeah. You'd have to. It would probably. You're right. It would be something along the lines of that. But then you just get into that never-ending rabbit hole of balancing. Is this a toy? Is it a display? Is it a transformer? Is it what? I don't know. It's tough.
Like BB-8 Death Star.
Place, yeah. Yes. Snap. It made no sense at all. And also, like, because the quality of the vintage collection vehicles is just so good, I'm really happy with the M1 Starfighter. The Mandalorian M1 Starfighter is just amazing. And the speeder bikes, having the speeder bikes come out again, it's sort of that kind of. And I'm almost big vehicled out. I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to put the Ghost still. But it's that kind of small to medium-sized vehicles, which I think we could have more of.
Yeah, that would be the other thing for a HasLab. Would have to convert with whatever that, I can't remember what the skull was on it, from Mando, and the netting and all that stuff.
Crate Dragon
skull? I was right. It was a Crate Dragon skull.
Well, Boss just got his new room, so
yeah.
So what were the speeder bikes like success wise in the States? Because I've heard a lot that they're starting to go on clearance now. I bought 5 of the Return of the Jedi ones and 2 of the Mandalorian ones.
I just bought 3 more of the Return of the Jedi ones on Amazon for $20 a piece.
Wow.
But it's tough to. I never know. From whose perspective is it good or bad? Hasbro may be thrilled. They probably sold a lot of them to the retailers, but the retailers might not be thrilled with it.
Yeah,
it's tough to say.
Which puts it at risk if it has to go on clearance, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's quite. Yeah, I mean it's more than 50%. So yeah, that would be clearance.
Yeah. The other thing I've seen here lately is pegs full of that wave that has Han Solo Endor, the Darth Vader Death Star 2. That wave is just packed everywhere, and I see it a lot. But I feel bad because I've already ordered all those figures online, so I don't need any of them. Always pick up an extra Weequay or something like that, but it's that thing of, especially here, we never know who's going to get them first, so it's a real lottery who you order from. And then if they come to retail like months after you've got them from online. So I was actually going to cancel my pre-orders for Morgan Elsbeth because I just feel like she's a character that's going to peg warm. So I want to pick her up at retail to just try and keep things moving. But yeah, what's it like for you guys, online versus stores?
My Walmart just got its 6th case of the Cad Bane wave, and apparently 6 is the limit because the 2 Cad Banes from the first 5 cases they got, the Cad Banes went right away. And when I say this is their 6th case, I don't mean they, and they had 5 previously. I don't mean they put out 5 at once. They put it, 2, 1, 2, and 2, and the Cad Banes would go first right away, followed by Moff Jerjerrod. We go next, then 9 Numb, and then the boba, Tuscan boba is the slowest seller of that. But well, this new case has come in and it's been a week and they haven't moved a single figure from that case, which is kind of disappointing. Although I should check on Monday because the weekends do tend to obviously get the traffic, especially where I am, because everybody from Massachusetts comes up to New Hampshire to shop without sales tax. So we get a lot of traffic up here. That's exactly why I moved here, so I didn't have to pay tax on my figure, sales tax on my figures.
Yes. Yo, Miko is here.
There he is.
Kia ora, Miko. Bret with the 1T. In New Zealand, his name is pronounced Brit. That was actually Chris's joke.
It's my favorite Flight of the Conchords when Murray, when Bret goes missing, and Murray's talking to Dave, the American guy, and he goes, "Bret maybe did," and Dave's like, "He maybe did what? No, he maybe did."
It's so confusing all the time. And got Doug saying, still working on a display plan. Well, my display plan for the Ghost is you make it out of cardboard first. And then you figure out that it's still too big. And then you ended up with a great big cardboard Ghost. That was my plan.
Were you inspired by our cardboard sail barge that we did back in the day?
Did you do a cardboard sail barge?
I
think this is a
part.
I think it's a case of great minds think alike.
There's just a couple of small boxes next to each other, like lined up at approximately the scale, just to show we were pushing that hard on Bantha Skull, and we were just showing how you could store all the figures on it. It was just a bunch of cardboard boxes.
Actually, I do remember that one. Yeah, and so you guys were absolutely pioneers of the campaign for a sail barge, right? You were talking about it for years before it became a thing.
There was a community-wide push. It was the Bring on the Barge, I think was what it was. So it wasn't just Bantha Skull. JTA was involved with it. Pretty sure Rebel Scum was involved. Galactic Hunter, I think. I'm not. If I'm omitting anybody, it's not as a slate. I just can't remember because it actually predated the actual campaign, the actual HasLab campaign by quite a while. But it only garnered like 3,000 signatures. So when the barge, launched and they said it needed 5,000, everybody was like, I don't know if it's going to make it because just for signing your name up for free, we could only get 3,000 signatures for it. With like I said, the entire Yak Face was part of it, so every heavy hitter in the 3 3/4 inch community was back in that petition. I only got 3,000 signatures.
Yeah. What's the retail like in Arizona, Bret? Hot, I bet.
Very hot. Everything melts. By the time you get it and you bring it into your car, it's already ruined. It's just a pile of plastic and melted glass. Yeah, I don't even frequent the stores that much. I do, obviously, when there's exclusives. Everybody knows online that the exclusives are spotty, even when you order them and you supposedly have them and they're locked in. They tend to disappear on folks. I've always given Chris a hard time. He's constantly railing on Target because there's something wrong with his. I'm pretty sure it's something wrong with his account, his credit, something with his citizenship. I don't know what it is, but he's always getting stuff canceled on him, and I have never had that happen to me ever, not even once. I always get my stuff from Target, and only if I'm impatient, I'll go into stores. And because I live in a metro area, there's plenty of them. So sometimes I gotta, you gotta sweet talk the right, stock person and get the right person at the right time. But I have never ever had a problem with Target. But that all said, I don't actually frequent the stores that much because it's such a struggle to get the new waves of basic retail figures. So almost 100% of my stuff is ordered online. I do have a Target that's like 3 minutes from my house, and I have a Walmart that's like 2 minutes from where I work, so I could pop in anytime to those. And it's usually not great for the basic stuff, but I happened to be in a Target this morning, and they didn't have, the only thing they knew that they had was the Luke and Grogu deluxe set. They had a couple of those and a bunch of the Raider, the Tusken Raider Warrior deluxe set. They had a bunch of those. They probably had about 12 of them piled up. That was about it. Mostly Black Series. That's what I see, is a lot of Black Series, old Black Series, just kind of sitting there collecting dust.
Boo, Black Series. you could army build frogs if you bought enough of those deluxe loots. Comes with like 7 frogs.
Yes, 3 jumping and 4 kind of sitting there doing their thing. I think back in the day, I wanted to army build. I forget the guy's name, the little droid that came with Cad Bane in the Clone Wars line. I wanted to army build those, and I think I got 1, so it wasn't a very successful campaign.
Toto? Is it Toto? Is it
Toto? Yeah. Yep, Toto.
We have to take credit for the 7 frogs, Brett.
We do.
Remember when we were pouting during the dark times, and they had a fans' choice poll for Black Series, so we did our own fans' choice poll for Vintage Collection that didn't count because it didn't exist any at the time during the dark times, and I think a 7-pack of Jawas was one of our things that we put on there. So if there's 7 of anything, we're taking credit for it.
Oh, you can take credit for the Cantina band set then. It had 7 characters as well.
Yeah,
we made it
those 4-packs. They're amazing. They're impossible to get here. I've got 2 on their way from Taiwan. I'm getting the Imperial Officer set and the Tusken Warrior kind of set, and managed to get the 2/1 with the correct brow.
Nice.
That was also from Taiwan. But yeah, they're hard to get. But what are your thoughts on them? Because they started out as pure army builders, and now they're going named characters and all over the show.
This is going to spoil another article I was planning to write for next week. And coming up with articles are so hard. It's coming up with inspiration to write articles so hard. So I'm still going to do it. And I'm actually, Tim reviewed. My TIE fighters are over here. They're in front of the cam. They're on the other side of the camera. Don't worry, they're there. But I'm actually piggybacking on Tim just reviewed on Bosk's Bounty. He just reviewed the 4-pack. Yes. And he talked about how you have named characters mixed in with that, and I kind of think along the lines of what he was saying, it needs to go one way or the other. Either all named characters and you're buying one, or all generic characters and you can buy multiples. But no more of this mixing of the 2, I think, is the way they should go. So it's either an instant troop builder, like here's the 4 figures that you all need that go together, so you get it one, but you're only going to buy one. You could do that with Bespin Guards because they're pretty much named. You could do it with Rebel, pilots and stuff like that. But for when you get to like anything with a helmet on, without the face showing, they should be all generic.
Yeah, and they just announced that really bizarre one, which has like 2 plain Phase 2 clones, one from 501st and one from 332nd. It's like, could you not just 3 separate packs?
I think it's the 41st Elite Coruscant, so it's the gray one.
Ah, right. Okay.
But of those, the one people want multiples of is the 501st. So even if you're going to do that mixed, people want to more need. I mean, how many? If I'm right, and it's the gray clone. How many of those do you want?
Yeah.
But 501st, I mean, Brett would probably never stop buying them if they were constantly available.
Yes.
Just so we can, just so the next time an Anakin figure comes out, he can really flex and just have that scene coming up the stairs for the assault on the Jedi Temple.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another place that they should come up with is the steps. I didn't realize. Anna, do you know that it's the gray one? I thought it looks gray in the picture, and I thought that was just because that's the cartoon version with the shadows and the shading on it. I thought it was the collection of clones from the last story arc on board the Republic, the capital ship, because it was a mix of 501st, the 332nd, and the standard white clones. It was a mix that had that like little fight out there with Ahsoka and Rex.
That's even worse then.
It's just such a bizarre decision, whatever they are. And yes, you're a 50. You got a 501st focus, Bret.
I do. I'm gonna ruin. I can hold on a second. Let's see if this works.
Oh look. Oh nice.
I think my video is a little weird, but yeah, this is my 501st stuff. Most of it is not Hasbro, and yeah, somewhere in there, I think there's a shelf. You could see it above that helmet. Those are Black Series figures. Sorry.
Okay, now I'm the one looking for the disconnect button.
So yeah, that's a big part of it. Pretty much anything. Oh well, actually, this was kind of cool stuff. These speeders, they came out with sideshow speeders.
Oh wow, that looks amazing. That's an awesome looking display. Really cool.
There's a sideshow, an ATRT with a 501st figure coming out that I'm waiting to blow money on. So yeah.
Very nice. Do you have a focus other than TVC, Chris?
Nope. Just TVC. Well, I have the vintage 12-inch Darth Vader. I've got the hyperreal Darth. So it's much smaller than Bret's. I have the Black Series helmet for Darth Vader, so I do pick up the Darth Vader stuff. But obviously, I don't need to army build those like Bret is contractually required to if he's going to be a 501st fan.
Yeah, I guess you could say my focus is like life-size Gonk droid beer fridges. But character-wise, it's like the Darth Vader and Stormtroopers. This is going really well, this camera angle. Maybe I'll just put it back down there. What the? Oh my god. What's with your mate?
Oh, he's drunk. Don't listen to him.
Woman's lingerie.
That's apparently his focus.
No judgment.
Oh, about to join the 501st, Doug. Tell us what outfit. Yes, he should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Leia's been announced. We're doing the Make the Mains campaign. You guys have been driving that, so we're hoping in the next year or so we'll have all the mains. I think that's a yes, Larry. Although he hasn't shown me any photos of him cosplaying as Ayla Secura, unfortunately. Oh, Michelle's on here. Kia ora, Michelle. Yeah. Thank you. It does actually keep beer cold. It's just got a mini fridge inside it.
So just for the count here, that it's like the Nielsen ratings. That's only one household because she's right upstairs.
Yeah, massive rating. We got 32 people watching. That's awesome. Thanks everyone. Nice. Thanks for coming. Well, we've been going for just on 90 minutes now. So, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about in terms of TVC? You're pumped and positive for where it's all headed.
There was one thing I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to make sure it was okay with John and John Miko and Tim, but neither of them got back to me, so I guess I can't talk about it. They ghosted me. They can come on the stream, but they can't reply to my DMs apparently.
What?
So I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. We're working on together, and we're going to expand this. This won't be just we're just doing the beginning groundwork on this. This is going to be, something that hopefully is community wide. Okay, good. There we go. Hopefully this will be something community wide, and right now the working name of it is Last Figure Standing, and it will be a poll where you kind of like the what HasLab used to do for the old fans choice polls, where you just be submit your top 10, not ranked or anything like that, and from there you put together a list. But the one grievance I've always had with the when HasLab does the fans choice polls, they put up 5 figures and you vote for your favorite. Well, the number one figure would get something like 27% of the vote, and that's the fans choice. Well, no, 73% of the fans wanted something else in that figure. So the fans actually chose something else. If when you look at it that way. So the concept behind this is, like one of the reality television shows where the either like Survivor or American Idol or something like that, where you just keep eliminating until you get to the final 2. So you avoid that plurality situation. I said it's very, very early, but hopefully this is something that we can get a lot of buy-in. It's not meant to. This isn't meant to like try to compete with the bracket. Nothing like that. This is just a different type of polling to try to see more data is good. So it's just a different type of thing than the bracket. In fact, hopefully those guys will help us promote this. The TVC guys, and I think it'll be really exciting just to get down, and the case I always make is about the fans choice. The Hasbro fans choice poll is the one from 2006 for the 30th anniversary collection. We all know Revan is the one that won that. It says on the bubble, but if you actually remember when that took place, Quinlan Voss won the vote. Revan didn't. But Quinlan Voss was actually already slated for the comic pack. So the runner-up, Revan, got the fans' choice. But the real one that won the vote was Quinlan Voss. And he peg-warmed. And he came out again and he peg-warmed. And if you looked at the polling of the figures, I think Revan and one other Knights of the Old Republic character were in the top 5. And if you added those two up, most fans wanted a figure from the Knights of the Old Republic, but because they were splitting the vote, Quinlan Voss won. So that's what the intent of this is try to avoid. So you don't get in that situation. You're gonna just keep eliminating until you get down to 2. So you don't have things like a case where, say, for Make the Mains, Han Solo and Luke are splitting the vote, and then some other character sneaks into first place, type of thing. So slowly eliminate them, and then because what would happen, obviously, is the fans that are splitting those votes, they'll probably switch to the other one once it gets eliminated. Do you follow me? So like, if say Han Solo gets cut off, well, all those people will switch their votes to Luke, and that really demonstrate the demand that way, as opposed to just here's 5 figures, pick one.
Sounds fantastic. Because those Hasbro fan choice polls, like you say, they don't have a great history. There's some interesting characters got made. Wilro Hood, which now goes for like $1 million on the aftermarket.
And he wasn't even a fan. That wasn't even a vote. That was just a campaign. That was a ice cream maker guy. That was just a campaign. But you're right. The fans choice winner has a coin flip of whether or not it's going to peg warm. Ellers Matic was the first one, right? Was he the first one? I think he was. Terrible peg warmer. Ifat Mon did terrific. I'm trying to think of other ones. Amana Man, that was kind of a shame because he became a deluxe. I think that's why that one peg warmed. But it's not a great track record. It seemed like every other one would peg warm or be Dr. Afra. There's another good one. There's no way Dr. Afra was the most in demand figure. Nowhere near that.
I didn't even know who she was when she came out in the vintage convention. I didn't even know there was a poll.
That's the other thing with fans' choice that we can't solve it, obviously. And I know it would be too hard for Hasbro to solve, but I would love to see them kind of like they did with this, in my opinion, ill-conceived, where you could pick which charity they just did recently when you made a purchase on Pulse. Then you could pick which charity they should donate money to, which I was never going to do because to me, it's not picking which charity gets it. It's picking which other charities to screw over. Like, here's these words, it's like, you can only save one puppy, and the other two are going to drown type of thing. I wasn't about to do that. But, if they could do that, the one thing that these fan shows pollings don't determine is if the person voting is actually a vintage collection customer, if they have any intent of buying the figure. So it would be really cool if Hasbro could do something where they, when you buy a vintage collection figure on Pulse, then you get to vote. So they know the person voting is a customer. Because what happened with Dr. Aphra, it was fans of the character stuff, the ballot box at the 11th hour. Yeah. They probably had no intent to ever buy the figure. They just wanted to see their favorite character win a popularity contest.
Boss says all early days. It sounds good, and it sounds like you've thought about a system that will filter all that. But I also, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that you've designed it in a way so that Tim doesn't get Pong Krell, and you don't get Clegg Lars. Larry's 100% right. Got to be 100% all new tooling for the thing.
Yeah, that was one of my questions that was stricken from the previous Q&A because it was probably disallowed because it wasn't a question. It just said, if the names are Han, Luke, Leia, please make sure it's 100% new tooling going forward is basically what the statement / question was.
Yeah. Yeah. Have they got more ruthless in their vetting of questions lately?
I don't think so. I just think it was actually a miscommunication on that. Probably 88 with elbows will win. Yes.
Garen Dan, of course, it's rigged. It's rigged. He's admitted it already. And that means you need a new Sand Trooper, and it means you need a Mos Eisley Alleyway playset.
That'd be cool.
Mos Eisley Alleyway playset with Garen Dan. I'd buy that.
As long as they can connect, so I can build one like 5 miles long if I want to.
Yeah, and then when they do the HasLab Cantina, it connects to that.
They're not good at that, are they? These things don't connect, like the trophy wall and the throne. They're not good at making things connect over time.
Yeah, but that does sound really cool though, like having another one, because I think as you said, you mentioned the SWTVC and the March Madness. That's been incredibly successful in terms of like you go back now to the very first one and you look at the top 25 or the top 64 of that bracket and how many of them have been made. It's awesome. Fantastic. What about you, Brett? What's your most wanted figure in TVC and what's your least wanted?
It's hard to say. It's funny because, like I was saying earlier, I still haven't set up my my displays fully yet, and I feel like once I do that, then I can kind of see, all right, I'm missing this one or I'm missing this one. I don't know that I have one specifically, and a lot of them are like triggers for other figures to come along. Like even going back to when we got the Dane for the skiff, it's like great, that was awesome, loved it, but it just made me want to finish that skiff even more. And at the time, had no idea that was ever going to happen. So like I said, like all right, I want a Baze Malbus. Totally, but like I don't want just him. Like I want Bodhi Rook or whatever, so we can finish that group. So I don't know. I don't know if there's like an actual just a single figure that I want more than anything else. There's just a bunch out there. It's part of collecting, right? Like it's just kind of this relentless push, and eventually your shelves just get bigger and more full and almost complete. I just wish, like Chris said about retailers, that I think the retailers like themes. And I think so do collectors, because it's frustrating to wait 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years to complete a scene. I don't think it's great for Hasbro to just put out like a couple of figures from something. You just have to feel like at some point there's light at the end of the tunnel and you're going to be able to complete it. Otherwise, why even bother starting? So yeah, I don't know if there's a for I would say maybe Bays, just because I feel like I really enjoyed Rogue One and I feel it's as close to the OT as you can get with the new media, and I'm just a little frustrated at this point that we kind of seem to have missed that window where we could have had him, and it'd be great to get him in the line at some point.
Yeah, he'd be awesome, and like you say, even if it's not the whole team, him and Chirrut were a pair, right? So having one that's fully articulated and one that's like that just makes no sense at all.
Oh, I was 100% convinced when Chirrut came out, like that was it. Like it was going to be followed up with an announcement for Bays, and it just has never happened. So then we'll get him, and we'll pretty much have at that point 5 of the 6, and Bodhi Rook, who's understandably probably the least exciting and dynamic as an action figure, but that would be even more frustrating to have 5 of the 6 and not knowing when that 6th would come out.
He could come as a pack-in figure with a boar gullet.
There you go.
Sorry, Chris.
To Brett's point about, when you take 8 to 10 years, and they've written about this a couple of times, to complete a scene, sometimes the technology and the figures advances so much over that time that they don't even look like they go together. In the same collection, especially when they start making some aesthetic choices, like if you look at who was Admiral Ozzel, where they kind of try to make it like that burlappy appearance to the Imperial officer uniform, then they go away from that. You put them together, they stand out, they don't blend in together. But can you highlight Matt Decker's comment of his greatest non-want? Because I agree. The next one.
Oh,
his next one.
Sorry.
That's my greatest non-want too. If
Fly Guy.
If the Cantina was, notoriously, low budget, if something was so bad that George Lucas essentially cuts it out of the film, we shouldn't get a figure of it. If he was saying it's so bad, when Wolfman masks and all these other cheap special effects were making the scene, if he chose something to cut, we should never get that as a figure.
Totally. And now it's completely escaped me the name, but the double draft head thing, which was just like...
Oh, Kane Addis from...
Kane Addis. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one I put on my... Especially since on set it wasn't just two. It's kind of like Hem Dazon from the Cantina. Yeah. It was just a head on a stick.
Those are not characters. Those are set dressings.
Props,
exactly. Becoming a prop. What about your least wanted TVC figure, Brett? Or spin on this question for you. What would infuriate you so much if they bought it out in the bootleg Disney Parks line and not in TVC?
Anything that comes out in Disney is annoying to me. So I do have one of those, by the way, because I was just, again, not that it was a big scene builder because we don't have many figures from it, but I'm sorry, his name is B2 EMO, is that it, right? The one from Andor.
Yes.
A little guy. I bought that one, and it's a Disney figure, and it really just grates on my nerves that he's sitting there on the shelf, and it bothers me. Like I lose sleep over the fact that he exists in Disney but not in Hasbro. But I just felt like I had to add him to the collection.
Yeah, it's a good figure. I like it.
It's nonsense.
Bootleg nonsense. The Forlome is so much. The Disney Parks Forlome is so much better than the 30th anniversary collection one we have.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the one I have up there with my bounty hunters.
Nice.
What about that? I will not condone that behavior because even though it might in some ways be viewed as superior, you cannot replace a Hasbro figure with a Disney figure. So that's it. You violated. It's a penalty.
No. You know my utter disgust for Power of the Force 2, and that figure is like a genealogical cousin with the wide the V chest on that droid from the tack figure for Forlom is, it's just a vestigial Power of the Force 2 figure, and I will not support that at all. So I'm going to blame, I'm going to ban you. You're out. If you're...
We need to introduce some flags for this live stream. Every time someone gets penalized, we need to keep track of it. What about you, Chris? Sorry. Chris, what's your least wanted in TVC?
Oh, I already answered. That was Tisbit.
Okay, yeah. What about most wanted? The mains.
Luke Skywalker, Episode 4. And it's very sad that I have to. Sorry, I just dropped the Grand Inquisitor's hilt, and I'll lose it, destroy it, and then burn my house down in a rage if I don't pick it up right away. But yeah, it's sad that I have to say that Episode 4, Luke Skywalker, is my most wanted, but it is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that we don't have a good version of that. Paul's Collectibles wants all the Andor figures in TVC. Would you buy a Marva brick?
I don't even remember what that is. Was that the when they were doing when she
funeral? Dies and they turn her into a brick, and then they get and it'd have to be an accessory that comes with that big dude, surely.
Oh yeah,
and a B2 EMO with a Marva hologram projected, maybe.
I still haven't opened the Aldani mission Andor.
Me either. It's because the boots suck, right? The whole legs are awful.
It's ridiculous. They had much better options. John Miko could rattle them off probably much better. Oh no, Tim had one that I think he pointed out would have been a much better. If they had to reuse tooling, that would have been much closer to the show than the damn moon boots they went with.
John Miko wants Marva brick, but they could do a life size one as a HasLab.
He's just pulling your leg. He wants Frog Lady. Frog Lady is John's most wanted figure.
Frog Lady. Yeah, he'd buy a brick Marva. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're just about done. It's been absolute pleasure having you both on. As I said at the start, you guys are absolute legends. BanthaSkull.com is my favorite website. And I know a lot of the people that join there every day have been here in the comments. So it's been awesome to see as well. Congratulations, Bret, on your live stream debut. You did great.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
A lot of fun.
Awesome. Finally.
Now he can't say no going forward. He's broken the ice on it. So
that's right. Yeah. You're going to be a popular guest now.
Oh yeah. I've tried to avoid these for most of the time here, but yeah, I don't know. I get roped into it, but this was fun. I'm glad. Thanks for having us.
And it's and Bret needs to say it's because of you, Jason, because that's what brought him out. You know, so you're such a good guy and such a we're a fan of yours, just as from the comments. So.
Thank you so much. I've been coming to your website for a while, and I just like to also thank you guys for your support of my silly channel. Like a couple of times, you've featured videos on your front page, which has been so appreciated. That time I found the Dark Times Vader before anybody else, and you guys featured that. That was amazing. So thank you so much. And every time I get mentioned on your website, I'm running around showing the family, look, I'm on Bantha Skull. It means a lot to me. So thank you guys so much. And what does Tim say? All right, but thanks all so much. Thanks everyone for coming along. I really appreciate you guys joining us. And it's been a lot of fun. So we'll leave it there, and I'll say my usual. Thanks so much for watching, Ka kite, and hopefully see you on another live stream. There's been some legends of TVC in the chat as well, so hopefully they'll feature sometime in the future. Cheers, guys.
Later.
All right.